Well, you don't need to be a rocket scientist or even a fan of the Houston Rockets or the vegetable called rocket to figure out that Christmas is on its way. You see it everywhere. You see trees being decorated, even here at our church. You see happy, joyful decorations everywhere. If there's a radio station that is committed to playing Christmas carols 24/7, they are now playing those Christmas carols 24/7. If you go shopping, you're going to get the trees, the decorations, the endless carols, the endless holiday sales, the endless holiday crowds. And if you have a TV, there won't be 1 second of one day that you can't turn a channel and watch one of those gooey Christmas romance movies. You know, the ones with titles like Snow Bride, or Christmas Prince, or Mingle All the Way, or my favorite, Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe. Lifetime in a Bustle, clearly. Yeah, so there's lots of Christmas stuff going on in the world, and we as disciples of Jesus, we who come to church to worship during this season where we are preparing for Christmas, because we know it's still about a month away, 4 weeks away, we know that our main task in preparing for Christmas is making room in our hearts, in our lives, and in our world for the coming of Jesus, for the coming of the Lord of love, who is going to bring that love in the gooey romantic way, but more importantly, in a way that gives us the power to experience and share love to those who are poor, to those who are lonely, to those who are hurting, to those who are forgotten. It's an amazing task and opportunity we have to prepare for baby Jesus coming. And one of the ways that is oftentimes suggested to prepare is to follow the characters who are on their way to Bethlehem to visit the baby, to discover the baby, to give homage, to let that experience transform their lives in commitment to Christ's mission. And as we follow those characters, we're encouraged to follow them closely, to maybe even walk in their shoes. Let their story become ours, so that we're better able to discover the baby and pay homage to the baby and commit ourselves to that mission. So with that all in mind, Jeremy and I were thinking about what we might want to do for Christmas this year, and we came up with the character we thought would be great for us to follow very closely, to walk in the shoes of maybe even. And that is the beloved Christmas character of Scrooge. Now, he's not in our Bible, but he's in maybe the most spiritual Christmas and beloved Christmas story west of Bethlehem. That story would be, of course, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And chances are you're familiar with the story. You've read it, you've seen the movie, you've seen a play, some sort. You know this story. You know what a wonderful, wonderful story it is, about how Scrooge on Christmas Eve is visited by 3 ghosts who take him through his childhood and through his present life and his future, and help him see parts of himself that he'd forgotten that he was, that he dearly wishes he could have back, where he can see the way that he's fallen off the track has affected not only his life, but the life of many in not a good way in the present time, and how it will only get worse as he goes into the future. It's a very ominous journey that he takes. But then he wakes up on Christmas morning realizing that it was just a dream, a very educational dream. He has an opportunity to start over, and he just feels like he absolutely can. And I don't know about you, but it's about the happiest, most joyful scene in Christmas ever, when Scrooge wakes up and he's like, oh! And he's got those big lamb chops. He's an old guy, usually in a stocking cap, and he's like, oh, what day is it? I don't even know what day it is. And are these my curtains? Are these my bed curtains? And is this my bed? And he starts jumping on the bed like he's 5 years old, and he starts dancing around and putting on his socks, and opens up the window, and there's a little boy out there who goes, oh, young man, go get the turkey that's as big as you are and bring it here and I'll tell you where to send it. Oh, goody, goody, goody. You know, he's just so happy. You can't help but like cry as you find out at the end of the story that Scrooge never looked back. Ebenezer Scrooge became a very good man, it says at the end of the book, as good a man as any. A master, a good as friend. There was no better man in the good old town of London or any other good old town or borough or village on this very good old earth. And then at the very end, he's got little tiny Tim who was lame and poor, oftentimes because of the meanness of Scrooge, but now he can walk because Scrooge has been so great and he's on his shoulder, and together they say to everybody, God bless ye, everyone. And more tears, and hopefully that's an inspiration to us to want to have that kind of joy and that kind of commitment to the world and to our own souls by the time Christmas Day comes. So if we're going to take that journey of Christmas, that exciting journey that has that wonderful ending, that promises a wonderful ending, guess where we get to start? At the beginning of the story. And we know probably how the story of Christmas Carol begins with Mr. Scrooge on Christmas Eve day in his office. And he's counting his money. And he's counting it again, because that's his favorite thing to do, even though he counts it with a scowl. And it's very cold in his office, because it's cold outside, it's Christmas, and it's London. And Scrooge never puts much heat in his office, because it's just a waste of money, because his workers can work in the cold. And there's just one worker there, Mr. Bob Cratchit, and he asks if he can possibly have Christmas Day off. And Scrooge goes, oh, bah-humbug. Why take Christmas? Oh, I suppose I have to pay too. Bah-humbug. And then a couple of old guys, business associates come by, and they want to ask Scrooge if he's got any money he'd like to donate to help to the poor. Oh, bah-humbug. Why would I do that? Aren't there prisons still? Why, yes, there are. Workhouses? Why, yes, there are. Well, I give money to the prisons, and I give money to the workhouses, and that's where the poor can go if they can't make it anymore. Thank you very much. And if they die because they can't make it, well, that's even better, because the world is struggling with overpopulation. Be gone. Bah-humbug. And then some Christmas carolers come, and they try to liven up the time like Christmas carols want to do, and they sing that wonderful carol that we began, that we just sang, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. And what does Mr. Scrooge do? We have an indication here in our Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol picture. He opens up the door, and then he kicks snow on the carolers, slams the door, and what does he say? Bah-humbug. And guess what? That's who we get to be on this first Sunday of Advent. How does that sound? Let's be happy about it. Bah-humbug! How often do you get the chance to just celebrate in being mean and angry and cheap and scared and self-centered and anxious and all twisted up inside? Well, of course, we don't want to be those things, but let's face it, oftentimes we are. And oftentimes at Christmas time is when we can feel terribly out of sorts. While everybody else is so happy around us, we so wish that we could be as happy as the people we see out around us and in those movies, but we're not. Either we're struggling with grief, or we're struggling with illness, or we're struggling with financial worries, we're struggling with addictions, struggling with dysfunctional families, we're struggling with stress, we're struggling with what's going on in the world. And if we find ourselves being happy about Christmas, we might wonder, why am I happy? I'm so blind to really this mood that I should be in this Christmas, because things are terrible. It's not healthy, really, to deny those feelings when we have them. And so often, this time of year, we have them. There's more depression and and anxiety and high blood pressure and all sorts of things that come this time of year. And maybe one of the most helpful things we can do is to admit it and to bring the Scrooge in each one of us to light and name the things that are just really hard to get us in that Christmas mood this year. And no, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a really important opportunity we have to connect with our God, who wants more than anything to take those hurts and those anxieties and whatever twisted feelings we may have and our fears for the world and bring them into his light and to do something amazing and healing and transformational with those feelings. Just like Scrooge, that's how our journey to Christmas, perhaps, truly begins. Embracing our inner Scrooge. So I invite you to do that this week. Now, you may not feel that, but if those feelings come up of something that just feels like, this is not the way God wants me to be this holiday season, I'm not feeling very joyful, I'm not feeling like I want to prepare for Christmas, on and on and on. Name it, let yourself embrace it, and just give it to God and see what happens. In fact, I've got a little prayer, a way of praying that is really helpful at these kind of times. And I'd like to share that with you now and then invite you to pray this throughout this month, whenever you wish. And it's a very meditative, creative visualization prayer. So let's just close our eyes for a moment. And again, breathe in and breathe out. And I'm going to do kind of a shortened version. You can take as much time as you want on your own. And get yourself really centered in, quiet, and peaceful. And let yourself find yourself on a deserted island or on a beach somewhere, far from the city, an isolated part of the beach. And you look out and it's just waves and sea. And then you see a little tugboat coming. It's kind of old and barnacled and rusty. Kind of think of the African queen. It's just old, but it chugs its way up to the beach. As you see it dock, out comes Jesus. You can see him look however he looks to you. And he walks up to you with humble, loving eyes and arms outstretched. And he invites you to give him whatever is inside of you that you want to get rid of. Whether it's right or wrong or big or small. Just pull it out of yourself. Put it in bags or however you see it. And just plop it in Jesus' arms. You just keep giving and giving and giving. Jesus is very strong. He wants you to take it all. And when you've given him all your stuff, watch Jesus take it and put it back in that tugboat. And turn around and blessings, actually, in our Gospels. That we have these weird speeches of Jesus, where he's getting all mad, all threatening, all warlike. He's just telling people to get ready because it's going to be, things are coming down. You don't want them to. It doesn't sound at all like the Jesus we usually know, right? Usually a kind, loving, open, come children, sit on my knee type Jesus. But he's falling apart. He's on his way to the cross. And in a couple of scenes, he'll be in Gethsemane praying for God to lift this mission from his shoulders, because he does not want to do it. He comes around, but we get to see a very, very human Jesus, I think, in these last scenes of his life, when he's just as scared and angry and out of sorts and needs help, just like the rest of us. So with him guiding the way, and with the story of Scrooge also blessing our journey ahead, may this be a wonderfully rich, transformative Advent season for us all. And may we remember, when we're saying that Bah-humbug, which we can say as much as we want, we can remember, we're sheep. Of course we say Bah. And we have a wonderful good shepherd that is leading us every step of the way. Thanks be to God.